Okay, so the last method we learned is completing the square. You may want to write out some things to help you remember this one as well. I would think the most important thing for the completing the square that you may want to remember is simply b divided by 2 squared. Okay, that is probably the thing that you want to memorize for completing the square. It's going to help you the most. Okay, the first step here is we have to get a blank spot to put the square in, okay, because this is going to make our square, but where do we put it? Well, we want it where this 5's at, so we need that 5 out of our way. So we have to minus 5's to both sides of the equal sign. Okay, so then our b squared comes straight down, minus 6b comes down, we leave a blank spot, equals negative 5. We're leaving a blank spot because that's where we're going to put our square. So our b squared, our b divided by 2, our b, once again, this is b right here, is negative 6. Okay, so we're going to take negative 6 divided by 2. That's going to equal 3. And you take 3 squared. Make sure you put the 3 in parentheses, guys. It's going to matter if it's negative, okay? Then you're going to have 9. Okay, so this is the thing that we are adding, our square. Our 9 is our square that we're adding to both sides. Make sure you add it to both sides. That's the key. And then you just kind of have to rewrite this and then combine these. All we're doing here is combining these two together. Okay. Once you do that, the next thing you do is factor. So you want your factors of 1 times 9, which is 9, that add up to negative 6, which are going to be, sorry, this is negative 3 right here. Negative 3 and negative 3, they're going to add up to negative 6. When I add those, they equal negative 6. Okay? But it will always be this number right here. The number that's right here that you did when you did b divided by 2, it'll always be that number. So you can save yourself some time if you recognize that this number is always going to be that number. Okay? So we're going to have, because they're the same one, I'm going to write it 2 times, but you don't have to do this, guys. You can skip this step right here if you want, and you can just write it like this, because the same thing times the same thing is the same thing as squared. Okay? And then after that, we are going to square root both sides. If you're doing a practice and you're studying your practice, I recommend that you write your square roots in a different color, just because I don't want you to think that you started with the square root. You didn't start with the square root. The only reason why you're doing a square root is to get rid of the square. Okay, so the square was there first, and then the square root came in. Okay, so when you want your mind to realize that the only reason why you squared it is because there is a square there. You square, so these cancel each other out. That's why you square rooted it, is to try to get rid of that square. Okay, and then because that cancels out, all you have is b minus 3. And then whenever we do a square root, we also do plus or minus. Okay, and it's the coordinate formula kind of reminds us of that, but that's simply because we can take a negative times a negative and get a positive, or we can take a positive times a positive and get a positive. And so when we're talking square roots, we're doing positive or negative. The square root of 4 is 2, so this is plus or minus 2. Okay, so then here we're going to add 3 to both sides. So then we have b equals 3 plus or minus 2. Now, this one does not have a square root on it, so we can do this. We can divide this into 2 things. So we're going to divide it into 2 different things. b equals 3 plus 2, which means b equals 5. And b equals 3 minus 2, which means b equals 1. So those are our zeros. Okay? Let's go ahead and complete the square on number 6. All right, first of all, we need a blank spot to put our square in. So we're going to add 29 to both sides. And we got v squared plus 4b equals 29. Okay, and now we're going to make our square, and this is how we make our square. So we're going to take 4 divided by 2, and we're going to get 2. We're going to take 2 squared, and we're going to get 4. Okay. So we're going to add 4 to both sides. And then we just need to simplify this right here. Okay, that's all we're doing is simplifying that. The rest of it's coming straight down. Okay, so now we're factoring. A times C is 4. Factors of 4 that add up to 4 are 2 and 2. But hopefully you can notice that that is the same thing as this number right here. So you can save yourself that step if you notice it's the same thing as that number right there. So that is B plus 2 times B plus 2 equals 33. Once again, this is an unnecessary step if you just know you're making a square, so you can go straight to the square step. Okay, B plus 2 squared equals 33. Okay. You don't have to do this step. This step right here is optional. If you can see it, you can go straight to that one. I always do my square roots in a different color to make my brain know I did it later. I did not, this was here first. Then I did the square roots. Okay. The square roots and the squares are opposite, so they cancel each other out. So you have V plus 2, and don't forget you always have a plus or minus with a square root. Equals plus or minus square root 33. Minus 2 from both sides of the equal sign. So you have V equals negative 2, because it's right here, negative 2, plus or minus square root 33. Okay, and now you need to look at this to see if you can break it down. Okay, can I break that 33 down at all? So it's not divisible by 25, it's not divisible by 16, it's not divisible by 9 or 4, and 1's not going to help us. So no, we can't. So both of our answers are right there. V equals negative 2 plus square root of 33, and V equals negative 2 minus square root of 33.